Good morning. Time to make the coffee. Today's coffee flavor is chocolate raspberry. Yum. It's going to be 58 degrees today, which is also a good thing. I have to get out there and clean up my yard with 3 dogs. But there's still snow on the ground this morning because it's only in the 30s. So today and tomorrow is going to be a little bit warmer. Nothing to get too excited about because it's going to go back down into the 30s and 40s after tomorrow. So winter is hanging on. Winter always hangs on and hangs on and hangs on. The never-ending winter. And then spring and summer and fall just fly by. Oh well, it's okay. We do what we need to do for the seasons that we have. So today I really have to plant some of my pepper seeds. I'd say half of the little sprouted seeds are ready to go in the ground. Well, to go in the pot. And the other half I'll just let go. Some of these are older seeds, so I'm not sure how viable they all are. But that's a good way to test the viability of your seeds, is to germinate them on paper towels. I'm sure those of you that are gardeners already know that, but for those of you that are new to the gardening world, you might not know that. So germinate them on a few of them on a paper towel and see how many of them germinate, and then you'll know if you have good seeds or not. So I want to concentrate this year in my garden of doing more of my own seeds. Last year I saved quite a few broccoli and pak choy seeds, and I even saved some impatiens seeds, but I'm going to plant those outside when the weather warms up because they're really tiny seeds, and some of those really tiny seeds don't do so well if you germinate them on a paper towel. They're just too tiny. So anyway, I want to try and plant those and see. You can get seeds from your impatiens. They get like little pods, and sometimes if you touch them, they kind of blow up. It's really kind of comical. All the seeds are inside this little pod-like thing, and then they burst open. But of course, impatiens are not cold hardy, so in this area, it wouldn't work to sow them over the winter. I remember one year, it was a really bad year. It was one of my worst years. And I lived in a different house. This was many years ago. I was in my late 30s. And I was really bummed. I mean, a bunch of stuff happened. I won't go into all of it, but my basement flooded, my cat died. I had a boyfriend back then that we split up. I mean, it was just like all within a very short period of time. That summer of, what was it, 68, I think it was. It was either 70. No, that's not right either. It was 88 or 89. That's what it was. Hello, get with it. Anyway, it was a really bad summer. And I did not plant any flowers. I always liked to plant flowers back then. I wasn't into vegetable gardening. But anyway, I had this, looked like a kettle. It was plastic, but it looked like a cauldron kettle in my front yard, and I didn't even plant any impatiens there. It was kind of shady there. And lo and behold, the whole pot filled up with impatiens. And I always said I thanked God that was a gift, that things would be better and things would improve. And I still remember that to this day. It was such a thrill to see all those beautiful impatiens that God had planted for me. Anyway, that's one of my stories. And have faith. Believe in whatever you believe in, whether it's God or Allah or the universe or whatever it is. Have faith that it will all be okay. So, okay, let's put some creamer in my coffee after my lengthy story. And I don't think I put enough water in here. Well, I can always add some. Anyway, let's give it a taste. So, cheers. I hope everybody's going to have a wonderful day today. It's actually good that way. Of course, I think I added a little bit more creamer. But I hope you have a wonderful day today, and God shines His blessings on all of you. So I'm going to take a look at my budget book, as I usually do in the morning. And then I got to get busy. Today's garbage day. Get everything cleaned up that needs to go out, and get some things planted. I have leftovers for dinner, the soup I made yesterday, and if that's not enough, I think it will be. I can either have a toasted cheese sandwich with that, or I can have a salad with it. Still plenty of food to eat, which is also a blessing. So I'll meet you back at the table, and we'll take a look at my budget book. Okay, time to check the budget book. I didn't spend any money yesterday, so I get a nice big check mark. So far, so good today. So the only day this week so far that I've spent money was on the 13th, on Monday, and that was for my spinach seeds, perpetual spinach, and my blender container. So far so good. One of these days I'm going to have to go back to Drug Mart and see if they've gotten any more of the containers in, because I'd like to get 2 or 3 more and do a little bit more winter sowing. But for now, I'm going to call that good enough. So how are you guys doing on your no spend, low spend? Are you participating? Are you spending money, not spending money? Are you saving for something? Let me know in the comment below what your financial goals are. All right. Okay, I'm getting ready to make this sourdough discard bread machine bread. And here is the recipe. So here I have 500 grams of flour. I have 7 grams of yeast. I have, let me check the recipe, 20 grams of sugar and 10 grams of salt. So that's what the recipe calls for. And yes, you do add yeast to this because the sourdough starter isn't strong enough to bake a loaf of bread. So I'm also getting ready to feed my starter. So I took 100 grams of the starter discard out, and also added 260 grams of warm water. Now the recipe calls for 40 grams of butter, but I'm adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil instead. So that's what I'm using. So I already have the starter and the water in the bread machine, and now I'm going to add all these dry ingredients. and then I'm going to bake it in the bread machine. I'm also going to make some yogurt today because that's all I have left, and I want to try and use the 2% milk from Dollar Tree because it's all I have, and I want to see if that works. I usually use the whole milk, and that works great. So, okay, I'm going to try this bread. I don't know if it'll be any good. I'll show it to you later after it's done. Okay, I fed my starter. I was watching a video on Mary's Nest, and she got this idea from another YouTuber. She mentions her in her videos. But this woman stores her starter in the fridge. She makes it into a really thick, goopy paste, if you can see that. And then what she does, and apparently this is like a no-feed starter. Now this starter came from here, so this was my original, and it's also what I'm baking the bread with. But it is bubbly, but it's not a very strong starter. So I want to store some of it the way she did. And what they did was very simply just covered it with flour. And then put it in the fridge. So I don't know if this is going to work. It's another experiment because I like to do science projects in my kitchen. So I'm going to try that. And then I'm also going to just feed the rest of this starter in case this doesn't work. So I'll still have some. So I'm going to give this about, another quarter cup of starter or of flour and half the amount of water and see what it does. So my bread dough is looking good. I had to add more of the discard, a couple tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons, and then I added a little bit, 1 or 2 tablespoons of water because it was really dry. So this looks better, and we'll see how it turns out. I don't know. If I can use up my discard and not throw it away, that would be great. All right. I'm going to move on to making the yogurt. My discard starter, which I just fed, 1/3 of a cup of flour and about half of that of water. Now this is going to go in the fridge. I'm not going to leave it out on the counter. So now I'm down to 2 starters. The one that I'm trying the way of Mary's Nest, and this one, and hopefully when I go back to baking some more bread, I'll have an active starter, and by then it'll be warmer. If not, I'll just use this discard to make another loaf of the bread I'm making now, if it's good. Well, I'm just getting ready to eat brunch, having my coffee. My coffee lasts me all morning. This is what I'm having for brunch today. Some vegan lunch meat, and I have it on top of my yogurt cream cheese with some everything bagel on it, and there's ranch dressing powder in there to flavor it. And then I'm having a blood orange, which I still have a few of. Isn't that pretty? So I thought I'd have breakfast with you this morning. Let me give this a taste. I always liked cream cheese with lunch meat when I ate meat, so I can still eat it. So my bread is baking. Well, it's still rising. It'll be baking shortly. And hopefully it'll turn out. So my microwave over there that I bought a couple months ago is a Galance, and it's a toaster oven, a microwave, and a convection oven. And I'll tell you, it does a beautiful job on toast. It really does. And actually it does, everything I've tried in there has turned out really well. It's not the cheapest microwave out there, but I got mine as an open box, so it was actually a pretty good deal. So I've been using it for a couple months, and I like it. So if you're looking for a microwave, check that out. I got it on Amazon. I'm not affiliated with it at all. It's just something I bought. So I always like to share when I find something I like, in case anybody else out there needs it too. So last Monday, I spent a little money, and these were like $5. I forget how many seeds are in here. Maybe a couple hundred. And this is perpetual spinach, which is actually a kale. Not a kale. A chard. That's what it is. So I'm hoping this comes out nicely, but I'm going to plant this right into the garden probably mid-April, maybe the third week of April. Because I think these are kind of cold hardy, and if they come up and it snows some more, I can always cover it up. But it's from, I don't know if you pronounce this Isla or Isla garden. So I'm going to try it. And here, this is from one of my flash foods, and I didn't get around to eating it, but I'm not throwing it away. What I'm going to do is cut, they say no more than 2 eyes. And this, of course, is an Idaho potato. And it doesn't have a whole lot of chits, but it has some. So I'm going to cut this and plant it. And this is a determinate potato, which means the potatoes grow at the bottom of the roots and not up the vine. And here's another one that I got from Flash Food. Now I could take all these eyes out of here and eat it, but it's, I gotta take the plastic off, but it's got a lot of eyes on it, so I think I'm going to cut this one up and plant it as well. And I think you can plant potatoes pretty soon. Then another thing that I got when I did my spend, I think it was on Monday, I ended up getting this pitcher, which was on sale for $19.99. I haven't tried it yet because I wanted a new base, and to get a new base and stuff, it's close to the same price. So, and this also has a, you can put, it says for soybeans, but I don't know, soybeans, I think you have to cook them. And then you can extract for soybean milk, but you can use it for fruit, I think, too. So I got that. So I got those two things, and I'm hoping that'll enable me to use my bullet blender. All right, well, here I have the little eggplant seeds. So if you get little Dollar Tree jars, you know, from the candles, save those, put a paper towel in there, and I have all kinds of lids. This was from a Parmesan cheese container, fits perfectly on there. But you can put your little seeds in there. Now these are older seeds, so I don't know if they're going to germinate or not. It's eggplant. So if you want to germinate your seeds before you plant them, these little jars are great, and I have a lot of those. So I have to plant some of my peppers for sure today, because I still have this mess going on in my kitchen. It's like I just can't get to it. So this morning I've been baking the bread, fooling around with that. I'm waiting for my yogurt to cool down between 108 and 110 degrees, around that mark. Bring it up to just a simmer. You don't need to boil it. Your milk, whatever milk you have, it works great with soy milk. Not so much with the nut milk. I haven't had good luck with that. If you have, let me know in the comments below and what you did. But it works great with soy milk. It would probably work with oat milk. I'm going to try that one of these times too. I've made oat milk before, but the starter that I have is from dairy. That's what I use this time. So I have a little bit left, and when my milk goes down to about 108, 110, I'm going to add the room temperature yogurt. I put that out this morning so it would go to room temperature. So busy morning, doing lots of different things. What else? I don't know, if I get around to it, I'll show you how my seedlings are doing. They're starting to pop up, the ones I already planted. So I've got those in a southern window, and when it's not sunny, today's sunny, then I put the grow lights on. All right, I'm going to finish my breakfast. Thanks for having breakfast with me. And I'll be back when I'm done. Let's take a look at the babies. So they're coming up. These are cosmos. These are calendulas. This is early girl tomato. I think I planted 5 of those, and 5 are coming up. These are more cosmos. The peppers have not come up yet, even though they were already sprouting, so we'll give those more time. These are all calendula that I just laid on top of there, so they're poking through. And these are all tomatoes. This is my mystery tomato, and all those came up. 3 out of 4 or 5 of these garden gems came up. 2 out of 5 good-hearted came up, but they could still come up. I've got one little Roma coming up. These were old seeds. So we'll see how those do. These are a tomato. Well, 2 came up. Oh, large cherry. These are old seeds too. Best boy. Those are older seeds, and it looks like 4 came up out of 5 so far. And early treat. 5 out of 5. One's just little there. So those are how the seedlings are doing. I think they're doing pretty well. And they need some water. All right, I gotta go plant the rest of the peppers. My hostas are doing, they're getting a little leggy, but that's okay. I have hostas planted in my front yard, and as soon as I see those coming up, I'm going to plant these outside. The phlox is doing pretty well. This needs another one to come up. There was 2 in each container. This one is just starting, and this one doesn't have anything yet. So, but lots of the hostas are coming up. I just measured the temperature on my yogurt, and it's a lovely 108 degrees, just what the doctor ordered. I have this much yogurt left, not a whole lot, and it's still beautiful. So I'm just going to add that to my yogurt maker. And this is just a little kasori, it's like an Instant Pot, and it has a yogurt setting on it. So you don't need much more than, 1/3 of a cup, maybe. There's no precise science to this either. You have to remember a lot of these old-time living recipes. A lot of these old-timers, they just eyeballed everything. So that's what I do, because I'm getting to be kind of an old-timer. I'm not there yet, but... Oh, I'm sorry, you probably can't see, because my big old elbow's in the way. Alright, well, I just dumped that in there, and I'm going to give it a good stir. Make sure that gets incorporated nicely. Now this is all plain. At this point you do not want to put, flavoring or anything in it. You do that later. So I haven't tried it with the 2% milk. I hope it works as well as the whole milk. Now if you're going to do this with soy milk, you have to use soy milk that doesn't have anything but soybeans and water. It can't have any additives, none of that. So okay, that's as easy as it gets. Close it up and put it on the yogurt setting. Just going to hit yogurt. Default is 8 hours. I'm going to give it 9. And start. Now the longer you ferment this, the more sour it'll get. I don't like it real sour, but I do like a little tang in there. So that's all there is to it. In 9 hours, I'm going to have yogurt. And then what I do is I let it cool down. I put it in the fridge till the next morning. And then you can eat it right like that, but I like it as a Greek yogurt. So I drain it in a sieve lined with coffee filters. And then it gets really nice and thick. All right, pretty simple. And my bread is doing awesome. can hardly wait to show it to you. I put some everything but the bagel on the outside of it, and it's looking beautiful. All right, there it is, fresh out of the oven with the everything bagel on it. I think that turned out pretty well. It's too hot to cut. So, and this video is getting pretty long. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to get around to cutting it today or not. But I am going to let it cool completely, because that does make a difference on the crumb. If you cut it too soon, it can get a little bit doughy. So I think this will be good, and this will be my bread for the week, and I still have a regular white bread loaf too. So I think it's a success. All right, let's take a look here. Let me see. Let's take a look at the bread here. Turn on the light. So it's almost dinner time, and I'm going to have a piece of this bread for dinner along with my soup that I made yesterday. And I'm going to cut this in half because I'm going to freeze part of it. I have too much bread going, so all right, let's see what kind of bread we came up with here. Got a nice crunchy crust. Of course, that'll soften as the bread sits. Hello. All right, let's give it a look. Ooh, that looks nice. So there it is. It does have one hole in there, but that's operator error because I was squishing it around. So I would say it's a success, and it's a good thing that now I have something to do with my discard, because you know how I hate to throw things away. So there it is. Bread made with sourdough cast off. Now it does use yeast too, but that's okay. You end up using less flour, because usually I use 4 cups of flour, but this only used like 3.5, maybe 3. So all right, there we have it. Right, time for a break. It's been a busy day. It's time to take a little break. I'm gonna have a cup of tea. I still want to plant a few of the peppers. The pimentos have pretty much all sprouted. They have fuzzy little roots. And some of the peppers are sprouting as well, and some are not. So I'm going to leave those for a while yet, because peppers can take a while. But I do want to get these pimentos planted, and I bought these last year, so I'm going to plant them in here. And so far so good. I went outside and I checked my little pak choy and broccoli little starts. They're really tiny. They haven't grown any, but they're not dead. So I think they're just waiting for the warm weather, and those are the ones that I started the seeds inside and put outside with a dome over them. You have to put a dome on them. But it was pretty cold the last few nights, into the 20s, so they're still living. One little container, the ice actually weighted down the cover. So one little container, a couple of them didn't make it, but the rest of them did. So far so good, but still no sprouts of everything that I planted, just seeds, but the ground is still too chilly. They'll come out in their own good time if they come out. So anyway, it's been a busy day. I've enjoyed my cooking marathon, and I'll show you tomorrow how the bread turned out and also how the yogurt turned out, because that's going to take a while yet. And I'll also show you the rest of my seedlings. So anyway, that's all I have for you today, my friends. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.